Have you ever walked into a room you used to feel so confident in and suddenly felt like you didn't even belong there anymore? Like nothing externally changed that much, but internally something just feels off. Like you're looking around thinking, how is everyone so sure of themselves? And I'm here second guessing everything. I've been feeling that more than I expected lately. And for a while, I made that mean something about me. I thought maybe I lost something. Maybe I'm not as sharp as I used to be. Maybe I'm behind. And that thought felt so heavy because it doesn't just stay in one area of your life. It starts to bleed into everything, how you show up, how you speak, how you carry yourself. You start hesitating in places you used to feel automatic. But what I've started to realize is that feeling isn't failure. It's not regression. It's not you losing your edge. It's something I've started calling imposter season. And not in the trendy way where we throw around the word imposter syndrome. I mean a very real, very uncomfortable season where you don't fully recognize yourself anymore, but you also don't fully trust who you're becoming yet. And if you're in that space right now, I want you to know that this conversation is for you. Hey y'all, I'm Sadie, a mama, dancer, and a woman learning how to rediscover herself after motherhood, after burnout, and after seasons that stretch you so much you barely recognize yourself anymore. And this is Becoming Her Again. This is where we talk about building your identity, reconnecting to yourself, and rising into that next version of you. Even when you feel unsure, even when you feel behind, and even when you feel like you're figuring it all out in real time. So if that's where you are right now, make sure that you subscribe because we're doing this together. There's a very specific kind of shift that happens after motherhood, and I don't think we talk about it enough because everyone prepares you for the obvious things. They tell you about the lack of sleep, the physical exhaustion, the schedule changes, but what no one really prepares you for is what happens to your identity. That quiet moment where you look at yourself or your life and you think, I don't feel like me anymore. And not in a very dramatic way, but it's very subtle. In a way where your energy feels different, in the way that you respond to things, in the way that you think, the way that you move through your day. And then on top of all of that, you start stepping back into the parts of your life that used to feel automatic and suddenly they don't feel the same. That's what this has felt like for me, stepping back into dance, because before motherhood, I didn't question myself in those spaces. I just showed up, I trusted my body, I trusted my timing, and I trusted my place in the room. There wasn't this constant awareness running in the background. There wasn't this second guessing. It was just natural. Dance has always been my home. But now there are moments where I still feel that version of me where I do feel grounded, present in my body, and I'm like, okay, she's still here. But then there are other moments where I just feel slightly off, just enough to notice. Like I'm thinking a little more than I used to. Like I'm aware of who's around me in a way I wasn't before. Like I'm observing myself instead of just being myself. And that awareness, it can feel like insecurity if you don't understand what's actually happening, because your brain will try to label it. It says, you're not as confident anymore, you're behind, you've lost something. But what I've had to realize is that that's not actually what's happening. What's happening is you are stepping back into a space as a version of yourself you haven't even fully met yet. And that can be uncomfortable because confidence is built on familiarity. When you don't feel familiar with yourself, everything feels a little shaky. And motherhood changes that familiarity, whether you realize it or not, because you've gone through something that reshapes you. Your body changed, your capacity changed, your priorities shifted, your nervous system has changed. You become responsible for an entire other human life. And that changes the way you move through the world, even in ways you can't always explain. So when you step back into old environments, you're expecting to feel like the old version of you, but you're not her anymore. And instead of recognizing that as growth, we interpret it as loss. And that's where the disconnect starts. So I've been feeling this really strongly in dance lately. And I want to share this part honestly because I think this is where it really started to click for me. Right now, I'm training at a studio where I'm on the Palm performance team and also the Pro Style Jazz performance team. And last season was my first season on the Palm team, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, I felt this so hard, especially after getting out of auditions being cut. That moment alone will bring up a lot because it's not just about the audition, it's what your brain makes it mean, right? And for me, it immediately went to, okay, you're not where you thought you were. But at the same time, I also knew that this is an opportunity. Like I could either let this moment define me or I could let it develop me. And so that's whenever I had decided to audition for the Palm team and I wanted to train, I wanted to push myself. But if I'm being honest, through the whole season, there was still this underlying feeling of I'm the weak link. Like I needed to do more, be sharper, catch up, prove something. And that feeling doesn't feel good because even when you're showing up, you're still questioning yourself. So after that season, I decided, okay, let's re-audition again for the Palm team. And now I wanted to join the Pro Style Jazz team as well to push myself even more. And I remember thinking, okay, this is it. I've grown, I've trained, this is going to feel different. And in some ways, it definitely did. Palm team, I felt a lot better because I had been consistent, I had been putting in the work. I could feel that difference in my body and in my confidence. But for Pro Style Jazz, that feeling came right back in. That same voice, that same question, do you actually even belong here? And the truth is, even now, training with that team, that voice is still there sometimes. And I think that's the part people don't talk about enough. We think that once we level up, that feeling is supposed to just go away. But sometimes it just moves with you. And I've noticed something else too that adds another layer to it. When I look around the room now, I'm not the younger dancer anymore. I'm not even in the middle. I'm one of the oldest dancers in the room. And also, it's only me and maybe one other dancer who are actually moms. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't compare myself, because I do. I look at how they move, how quickly they pick up things, the way their bodies respond. And there's a part of me that goes, why doesn't this feel as easy as it used to? And then I have to remind myself, because I'm not the same. I'm rebuilding my body after spending 3.5 years primarily just teaching in Hawaii. And I'm rebuilding a body that is completely different than it was before I had my baby. And that adds on to that pressure because now it's not just about skill, it's about capacity, it's about stamina, it's about reconnecting with your body in a new way. And when you layer all of that together, it makes sense why that imposter feeling shows up. But instead of running from it, I made a decision. I'm staying in the room. I'm not leaving just because it feels uncomfortable. I'm not shrinking just because I don't feel like I'm the best one there. I'm going to keep showing up until this version of me feels like mine. And I had to really ask myself, is this actually a sign that I don't belong here? Or is this something else? And so this is the shift that really changed things for me. That feeling of, do I still belong here? That feeling of being unsure, a little off, a little in your head, that is not proof that you don't belong. It's proof that you are re-entering a version of yourself you haven't fully embodied yet. And re-entry can always feel uncomfortable because you're not stepping into the same person you were before. You're stepping in as someone who has lived more, someone who has carried more, someone who has had to stretch in ways that changed you. Motherhood doesn't erase you, it layers you. And when you step back into spaces, you're not trying to become who you were. You're learning how to move as who you are right now. And that takes time because your identity has shifted, but your confidence hasn't caught up yet. And that gap, that's where imposter season lives. Not in your ability, not in your worth, but in the space in between who you were and who you are becoming. And I think this is where so many moms get stuck because we feel that gap and we interpret it as I'm behind. But you're not behind. Your timeline has just shifted. You built a human. You carried a life. You navigated a season that required everything from you. Of course you don't feel the same. Why would you? But different doesn't mean worse. It just means new. And new always feels unfamiliar before it feels natural. So once I understood that, once I stopped making that feeling mean that I didn't belong, the next question became, okay, how do I actually move through this? Because understanding is one thing, but living through it, that's another. And this is the biggest shift that has been helping me. Instead of asking myself, do I feel confident? I started asking, am I building evidence? Because confidence is not something you wait for. It's something you build. And I think a lot of us get stuck here because we think we need to feel ready first. We think, oh, I'll show up when I feel like myself again. I'll go for it when I feel confident again. I'll step back in when it feels natural again. But that's not how it works. You don't feel confident and then take action. You take action and confidence comes from that. And this is where motherhood actually prepares you in a way you don't even realize because motherhood is repetition. You show up every day, you try again, you figure things out in real time, you adjust, you learn, and over time, you build trust with yourself again. It's the same thing here. If I keep showing up to dance, even on the days where I feel a little off, if I keep putting myself in the room, even when I'm more aware than I wanna be, if I keep moving, even when it doesn't feel automatic yet, eventually that unfamiliar feeling starts to fade. Not because I forced confidence, but because I built evidence. And that's something I had to really sit with. Because I think a lot of us wanna skip that part where we feel unsure. We wanna go from, I don't feel like myself, straight to, I'm fully confident again. And there's a middle season in that. And that middle season is where the work happens. It's where you show up before it feels natural. It's where you repeat before it feels automatic. It's where you build trust before you feel fully solid. And that's not failure, that's just the process. So if you're in this season right now where things feel a little off, where you don't feel as confident as you used to, where you're questioning yourself in spaces that once felt easy, I want you to hear this clearly. You're not behind, you're rebuilding. You're not failing, you're recalibrating. You're not losing yourself, you're meeting a new version of yourself. And that version, she's going to feel natural again, but not because you waited for confidence, but because you kept showing up, because you stayed in the room, because you allowed yourself to be in the process. And I think that's the part we don't talk about. We don't talk about how uncomfortable it is to be in between versions of yourself. But that doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. It means something is shifting. So I would love to know, where are you feeling this right now? Is it motherhood? Is it your body? Is it work? Is it dance? Tell me in the comments below. I really want this to feel like a space where we're actually talking about these things, not just thinking them in our head. And if you're in that in-between season right now, just know this: you're not lost, you're becoming. So make sure to drop this emoji in the comments below, just so I know that you stayed to the end. And as always, you are stronger than you think.